All right, guys. Well, welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us today. Just kind of wanted to dive into some introductions here first. My name is Josh Hunter. I work for ATG as a reality capture specialist. I've been on the team now for a couple of years. Been with the company for three and a half years now. So I am a registered FAA drone pilot, and majority of the scanners that we use, we are Leica reseller. So we have the whole Leica gambit there. So we have the RTC 360, we have the P40, we have the BLK2GO, BLK 360, even the BLK 3D. So we are a one-stop shop when it comes to anything scanners from Leica. So that's me, and we'll throw it over to Sean.
Hi, my name is Sean Valadeo. I'm still fairly new to the company. I'm a reality capture specialist here at ATG. I have about 6 or 7 years of reality capture project experience, mostly in the worlds of special projects such as underground natural cave formations, tunnels, wine caves, recording that information, putting it into different type of formats, whether it's AutoCAD, Revit, and even to augmented reality situations into Unity and Unreal Engine. And I have a cumulative about 11 years of MEP and low voltage design experience.
Awesome. So that's us. First, before we get deeper into the meeting, I just wanted to kind of throw it to our website here. At ATG, we're an AEC partner, Autodesk reseller. We do quite a bit we have everything from, as you can see, kind of on the moving ticker here, anything that you need in the realm of the AEC world, architectural, civil, anything that you can think of, we can be your best friend here. So anything with software will get you taken care of. But the nice thing is, just like myself and Jean here, we work on our reality capture department. So anything scanning, we'll come out and do it for you. We'll do training. We'll get you guys, if you're expanding out and wanting to get some drone pilots, we'll actually do the training, demos, everything you can think of. We'll sell you the scanner. We'll train you on the scanner. Kind of a one-stop shop there. We also have a full architectural staff, full civil engineering staff, construction, MEP. We'll get you taken care of there. So just kind of wanted to throw a shout out there for the company as a whole. Another thing that I'd like to stop and kind of, before we dive deeper here, is we have a phenomenal YouTube channel. So, and not just for reality capture, obviously, that's near and dear to our hearts because that's what we do. But we have great tech talks, full civil 3D, Revit workflows, Bluebeam. We do this, we got some great guys on the staff here that do Bluebeam morning coffee, and they do it every week or bi-weekly, and they just do some great stuff. So the one nice thing about a pandemic is we all have had a lot of time to make a lot of great videos, a lot of training. You actually will get a lot of great information in these videos. They're almost like little mini training sessions. So by all means, if you have the time, please stop by just youtube.com and look up ATG USA. We have a lot of great videos in there, and it's always expanding. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I feel like a YouTuber here because we have a lot of great content. So without
that
further
subscribe and bell icon.
Exactly. So without further ado here, let's get into why we're all here. So obviously we're all here. Go ahead.
May I just ask in the chat if anyone can write what type of experience they have with reality capture, whether it's laser scanner or BLK To Go, or if you've just used point clouds and you're still new, just so I can get a tempo of the room.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great question there. So, but yeah, we're all here for the BLK To Go. We recently, kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to get this webinar out there is we recently did a pretty large project in Utica, New York, where we actually had to scan 54 houses. The customer wanted to do this with your typical terrestrial scanners, the good old tripod, set it up every, a couple minutes later, move it, a couple minutes later, move it, and everything like that. So, but they had a time frame that they needed to get this done. when it comes to, as we all know, the typical terrestrial scanners, it was going to take us with that amount of housing units, and each unit they actually made into individual apartments. So you would have a house, and then any of those houses could have anywhere from 2 to 4 units each, and they had their own separate door and everything like that. So and these were live tent, like, you know, they were, people were living there, tenants were there in the building, so it wasn't your typical open space, no one in there, you can go in, take your time and everything like that. We were actually going into essentially people's homes. With that being said, the terrestrial scanner would have taken us months and months. So we probably still would have been out there scanning, to be honest with you, if we would have done your typical terrestrial scanning workflow. We kind of came to, we talked to them a couple times back and forth, and then we kind of came with a really unique idea with the BLK2GO. It fell within their LOD. They were looking at LOD 100, so windows, walls, and doors. You're looking about a, you know, half-inch of accuracy with the BLK2GO, so it's not as tight as your typical, you know, BLK 360 or RTC 360, and a lot of the Pharaohs and Trimbles and everything else out there. So it's not as, you know, you're not looking at sub-millimeter accuracy, but in this case, their range was perfect. So we kind of came back to the table with the BLK2GO and had this really great idea that we could actually do multiple units a day, and we were able to get the project done in about 2.5, 3 weeks tops. And the only thing that actually inhibited us from getting it done faster was the fact that we were dealing with live tenants, in the regards that there was many times where we couldn't get into the home, or somebody was home and requested us to come back at a different time. So that was really the only hiccup as to why we couldn't have done this a lot quicker. Let me check here. Okay, so yeah, I see the question there. Could we get one house done with one battery? Yes. So on the batteries, it comes with 3 batteries. They claim it's about 45 minutes of scanning per battery. And I know anybody that's out there that has any experience with scanning with your typical terrestrial scanner, you don't think 45 minutes is a long time. But in the world of mobile LiDAR, it's a whole nother ball game. So perfect example, the Phoenix office here for ATG, it's about, I want to say, what, Jean, maybe 10,000 square feet, give or take?
Yeah, a lot of glass windows though. So
yes.
So to maneuver.
Yeah. So, and we have cubicles and we have offices and everything like that. We scan it with a BLK 360, your, you know, typical terrestrial scanner, on the medium setting, which is about 2 minutes and 50 seconds to scan. So let's just round it up for 3 minutes for easy math. It took about 86 scans and we did it in 4.5 hours. We came with the BLK2GO, same square footage, same building, same office, didn't do anything fancy with it, and we're able to scan it in 10 minutes. So just to kind of put it out there, you will get a lot of ground covered with the BLK2GO, because as you can see on this little, you know, on Leica's website, you're walking with it. It's a handheld unit. The other benefit of that is it doesn't have to be vertical like this at all times. You can do horizontal, you can even go upside down, you can get underneath desks. You can move it around. And each unit, when we were out in Utica, so each apartment only took us about 7-8 minutes to scan. They were, you know, roughly 2 3-bedroom, 2-bath units, and we were able to do it in like, you know, 6-7 minutes. So we actually could do quite a few buildings on one battery charge.
There's a question here: can we tighten up the tolerance to 1/2 inch? Really, the limitation that the BLK2GO suffers is that it doesn't have a stationary station, so to speak, to measure from. Between you tilting in all 3 different axes and moving, it's really difficult for that small, tiny little unit to process all that information accurately, as a terrestrial scanner is stationary and doesn't move. So you would have to really go around an area a few more times to kind of overlay more information, so that you use a process of average to see what the tolerance would be. But without things like GPS and whatnot, in order to sync this more accurately, your 1/2 inch would be your best case. The maximum LOD level that this can obtain is not as high as what a terrestrial scanner can do. That's just flat out. But what you lose out on accuracy, as Josh is trying to say, you make from expedience, speed. You're in, you're out. You know, you got to borrow from Tom to pay Peter, basically, in this case.
Yeah, good point, Jean. And our big thing here is we're not by any means trying to come out here and say, buy a BLK2GO, it'll be your one and only scanner you'll ever need. We look at it as it's a phenomenal tool to add into your tool chest or your tool belt. Again, if we would have done this on a terrestrial scanning side of things, one, it would have been astronomical as far as the price. Two, we would have still been out there, and we were doing this job back in October. So with live tenants, that's a whole nother ball game. Getting into the buildings, people were walking around, kids were running around, animals, everything like that. And the ease of use to just be able to walk into somebody's unit, have the door open, come in, they're sitting on the couch watching a movie. Hey, don't worry about it, stay there. Able to walk around in and out that quick and then move on was, I mean, it just saved time and money tenfold. As far as that tolerance, like Jean said, we're hoping it might get a little bit tighter, but you're never going to get down to your typical terrestrial scanners. When it first came out back at the end of 2019, I can't believe that it's almost been out that long. Right at the beginning of 2020, it was almost an inch, a little over an inch, and just with software updates, Leica has been able to get that tighter. But again, it will never compete with a BLK 360 or some of the Trembles or the RTC 360 or things like that. It'll always kind of be. It'll be a little bit less accurate, but again, you're getting it for the speed, not so much for the precise accuracy. And again, if you get one of these or you're looking to get into this, it's all within that range of accuracy. And anytime we have a customer that we see that this might be a great opportunity for, we always ask them, what's your LOD you're looking for? And then obviously, what's your range of accuracy that you're okay with? If it falls within that half inch, then this is hands down, day in and day out, we'll go with this scanner just because of the time on site. We can literally get things done within, a day instead of a week. So
I can't see who asked the question, but they would like to know if doing multiple loops would help. If so, what are the best practices? And there are some negatives to doing that, as well as the pluses. Would you like to elaborate on that, Josh?
Yeah, so great question. Yes, you can. So with the BLK2GO, it being a mobile scanner, you can actually run through an office, a building, whatever you're scanning relatively quickly. But what we always recommend is, and we can't show the previous data set because it's with a different customer and all that legality and stuff like that. But we did a BLK2GO scan out in California on some apartments, and we went a little bit faster than we probably should, and the data wasn't as dense. We were bringing that into Revit and everything like that, and it was very difficult to model it. We were able to do it successfully, but it was kind of difficult because of the speed. On this scanning, we've learned through best practices, it's more of like a leisure walk. I'm 6'5", which it's anybody out there who's tall, it's not easy to walk slow, but it is something that you want to be very aware of, is the speed of which you're walking. You don't need to be a sloth or that slow, but yes, the slower you walk, the more dense you are getting as far as the point cloud. As far as the accuracy, no, it's not making it tighter or it's making it better per se, just because you're getting more points, it's more dense. But it's not necessarily, if I were to stand in one area, would it take that half inch down to a 1/16 of an inch? No. To answer your question, would you like to piggyback off that, Jean?
Just adding, I think we kind of said it already. The limitation is just that the station is not fixed, and it doesn't have built-in GPS and any other PPK. There we go. Sorry, stuttering. So you can do multiple passes. It will you then start working in the laws of averages. But the problem with that is that if you're in a crowded area and there's a lot of people walking, it's not going to filter that out. The more times people walk into your line of sight, the more ghost points you're going to get. So that is the difficulty you're going to face. And if there are things like mirrors and other reflective surfaces, it's going to make mirror points hard. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the more you scan, the more post-editing you possibly have to do. And the only other way of really getting around the accuracy issue would maybe be doing smaller blocks and doing multiple station setups. I think and then you can go around a room a whole bunch of times, like a section, like a quadrant of a floor, go around it more times, stop, do another quadrant. I think that's how you could get around that, and then you could easily remove mirror points and ghost points a lot easier. That would kind of how I would get around that. And then, obviously working in tandem with something like a BLK360. So you do 1 or 2 scans if like the project needs it. You have something to ground your scans to. So like an entrance to a building, and then you just go into the tight areas of the scan with the BLK2GO and tether to that. That's one way of getting around that. There's another question here. How does it handle stairwells?
Yeah, I saw that. So, and actually, I just piggyback off a little bit of the previous question. I'll definitely get to the stairwells. So here's a prime example of doing multiple laps. Maybe on the con side is if people are moving, as you can see, and I did not clean up this point cloud just for the sake of showing you the,
You're not showing the point cloud right now. We still got your Google.
Oh, just kidding. There we go. Sorry about that. So here, again, didn't clean up the point cloud, but the I guess con of making multiple laps is if people are moving or there's a lot of people in the room, you're going to get ghosts like this. Just like any scanner, if you have people walking while it's scanning, you'll get ghosts. It'll be a little bit more prevalent in the BLK2GO realm because if you're walking around where people are walking, you're moving, they're moving, it just kind of gets a little messy. And again, I did not clean this point cloud up just for the sake so you could see it kind of raw and what it looks like. But the other benefit is of being able to make multiple loops is, say you are on a job site and you come around the corner and it is busy and there are people there, and you don't need to stop your scan, just kind of turn and face them and say, hey, are you guys going to be done in 5 minutes? Or, hey, I need to come through with the scanner. Can you, be done soon? It's great in that regards that I've come around corners, have construction workers or being on a live site, and then I say, hey, I need to scan this room. It takes them a couple minutes to disperse. I go scan something else, and then I'm able to come back through and scan that. So there are pros and cons to both. As far as stairwells go, I will show you here. So what we actually did was, this is the starting point of almost every one of our scans. So anytime we did a house, we would start on the outside. Typically, when you have your tripod scanner, we recommend that you scan each floor as one project. You do the stairs as a separate project, as kind of like the backbone of the project, and then you go from there. With the BLK2GO, there isn't really necessarily a benefit to do that same method. So what we were able to do is we started on the outside for each scan. So even if that building only had 2 units or 4 units, we started in the same spot outside. And what we were able to do is we would come through, we would walk up the stairs, and we'd go into that unit. Now, if there was stairs, all you want to do is just walk very slow, very leisurely. You can move the scanner up or down, or you can keep it right there, because what you're going to do anytime you're scanning with the BLK2GO is you want to close your loops. So if you start in a certain area, you're going to come, you're going to go, you're going to scan. If you got to go upstairs or downstairs or just stay on the same floor, you scan that, and then you come back and you go down these stairs again and you close the unit, close the loop. So that's the biggest thing that we've learned in the world of scanning with the BLK2GO, is the fact that you want to close your loop. So again, every loop started out here. We would come in, we would scan, and then we would come back down and end the scan right here.
Josh, can you elaborate how the scanner actually works? the fact that it's continuously scanning, it doesn't stop. You don't like start somewhere and then push a button.
Yeah.
Because we have a question, can it scan behind objects?
Yeah, so the scanner uses the SLAM technology, so it's simultaneously locating and mapping itself as it goes. When it comes to scanning behind an object, is it going through the object, or are you meaning like just coming around back of it? Because, go ahead, Sean.
Well, the question is, can you move the scanner around objects to get behind things? I mean, yeah,
Yes.
It's the same concept. It pictures everything in the line of its sight. So if there's a mannequin behind you, you walk past it, you get the front, and then you can bring the scanner behind and you get the back. As long as it has line of sight. So it's the same concept as a terrestrial scanner. Everything that scanner can see, it will capture. The only thing is that it's not stopping, it's continuously going. So it's basically kind of point cloud sonar, so to speak.
Yes, so exactly. There's your answer right there. So yes, if you're needing to get underneath the table or around something, if a door is shut when you come into a room and you need to stop and wait and open it, that's all okay. The technology that's built into the BLK2GO, actually what it does is it's pretty much capturing 270 degrees of everything that it sees, and it's actually blocking you out. So the software, so that way when you're walking, you're not continuously seeing somebody in the scan. A lot of times, if somebody is following you, it will pick them up. But just right here, right behind the scanner while you're holding it, the software actually blocks you out. So it's great. Some of the things that from just testing and everything like that, we recommend if you do go through a doorway, slow down. We always recommend if you're going through a doorway, I actually stop in the doorway just for a second or two, a couple seconds, 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds tops. You want to stop in the doorway. You can put it over your head if you want to, but we kind of call it the magic wand. You can hold it however you want to. If you need to go upside down, around, whatever you need to do, but doorways you want to slowly go through and then always close your loop. Right now we're in Register 360, Cyclone Register 360, which is a Leica software. This is the software that you would use if you do end up getting into the BLK2GO or any Leica software or any Leica scanner for that nature. But I just kind of want to show you what you're looking at here. So these little red orbs, they're not we didn't stop and set up a scanner right there. So when you're importing, you can it's continuously taking panoramic pictures. You can tell it in how many feet or how many meters you would like to see a pano. So we did it at every 36 feet, I believe, on this one, or possibly, no, yeah, every 36 feet. And then you'll see these little panos. We can click on them. Let me close this. You can see it over here. We can actually go into the setup cloud, and you can go to each pano and see the pictures and whatnot. Now, on top of that, everything that you see that's these little kind of geotagged, these are pictures that we took with the scanner. So it's a one button push to turn it on, turn it off. There's just one button on it. What we were doing is we were taking pictures of the customer actually requested that when we're in the bathrooms and in the kitchens, they wanted to see different materials. So what we were doing was while we're scanning, we come up to something, we aim it, and you just push the button for about 2 seconds, and it'll take a geotagged within the point cloud picture of what you're looking at. So that's what all of these little geotagged photo things are. So, oh, hold on. Come on, Register 360. I got a lot of things going, and when a webinar is going, it doesn't necessarily like it, but
there are just 2 other questions inside of the universal chat. One of them is it 27 degrees in the vertical and horizontal axis? If you're referring to the camera, that means that the lens itself is a very specific type of fisheye, and it does have the ability. So most cameras obviously have the focal view to see forward, but wide fisheyes maybe will have like 60 degrees or whatever, these cameras do have the ability to overlap and see behind themselves a little bit. So 27 degrees means like it's got pretty wide peripheral. It can see a little bit back, and that's what helps it overlap. So it's got multiple cameras on it, so that's its stitching process. 360 photos need to overlap. So that's how that camera works. There was a question on, will putting targets help with accuracy? It will help to a small degree. It's not going to be because the station's not stationary. It will help a little bit because Register 360 will detect the targets, and it can help. But as long as this isn't drift, because that is kind of an issue wherever it's referencing that, wherever the station is, as long as it's kind of difficult to explain this, as long as you haven't drifted out of the alignment from another section, it will reference that point. But I haven't stress tested it much. Have you done a lot of target testing yet, Josh?
Not with the BLK2GO. We haven't really found a need to. But yeah, we haven't done too much as far as the testing goes with the targets on the BLK2GO.
I mean, the only issue I see with the targets is that the point is to come in and come out as quick as possible into a project. Putting targets up is just going to double your time there, but
I mean, we've done some targets with it. Just in the office, we had actually targets up for the BLK360 and the RTC360, and then when we scanned with the BLK2GO, those targets were on the wall as well. You're still seeing when you look at the target in the actual point cloud with the RTC and the BLK360, you're looking at very clean, very linear points. With the BLK2GO, you're just getting, let me close this, sorry. Yes. It's a little bit different. So let me show you something real quick.
Also, remember that the targets he's talking about are like, they control points. They have a geolocation assigned to them. So you would be able to punch that in post-production.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here is, actually, no, let me open. So Leica came out with you're looking at my Register 360, right, Jean?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the scans that I've been showing you, let's see, here it is. So this is the scan. We brought it in just normal. Anytime you import in Register 360, I won't get too deep into this. You'll click on BLK2GO. You'll add it to the project here. And then over here in the lower right-hand corner, it'll actually give you the ability to select high or low as far as importing it. If you don't select one of those and you just let it import normal, this is what the point cloud looks like. And I'll show you. Especially if you're used to your typical terrestrial scanner where it's very linear, very clean, you'll get these, as you can see, when you're walking through, the lines are kind of all over the place. It almost looks like spaghetti or noodles, or if you gave your small child a crayon and let them just have at it. It does, you know, as you're walking, the scanner is spinning like this and it's spinning like this. Here, I'll stop sharing. So while you're walking and you're moving and it's collecting the data, the scanner is spinning like this and spinning like this at the same time. So it's catching that data almost like in these long stripes. So what happens is if you're used to a BLK360 or the typical terrestrial scanner, it's a little scary at first, because if you ever were to look at a point cloud like this, and from a typical terrestrial scanner, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Something's wrong here. But this is just how a mobile LiDAR scanner collects the data. Now, with that being said, with the most recent update to the scanner and the software here, Leica's actually been able to do it now, where when you select the high setting or the low setting, it actually makes it a lot more linear. And you'll see here in just a second. So as you can see, what it does is it tries to it'll take a kind of an average point, and it'll just put that as your point. So instead of, see how it's a lot more linear here on the wall. Now, obviously, if you get closer, it's taking out a lot of those points and just kind of taking an average of a point right here. It's getting a lot thinner. But as far as the cleanliness of the scan, it's a lot nicer, a lot prettier, or in this case, it's just a lot easier to work with, especially if you're used to more of that linearness. Now, if you go to the, I have the low setting here. You know, I don't know if I do. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Here's the low setting, and it's going to be a lot less points here. As you can see, it's even more kind of almost transparent. But all of the data is still there. You can still model off of this and everything like that. It's just the data, the point cloud is just a little bit, it's less dense, as you can see. And to give you a better example here, let me show you. I did do I imported it. Here we go.
So what's happening is that it's doing a spatial subsampling. So the difference between resolution and spatial subsampling, resolution, which is the typical way Cyclone does it, it kind of takes a stripe and doesn't bring the point cloud. It kind of leaves that stripe out. Spatial subsampling, it will say any points that are within 0.005 of a meter, they don't need to be near to each other. And then it will take the one that's closer to a line and keep that one and remove the one that's right next to it and take that one away. So it starts clearing out redundancy. So when you do the filtering with the BLK2GO, it will do a type of spatial subsampling. And that's what gives you those linear, cleaner lines that are not on top of each other. So you're not going to have 4 points that are touching one another.
Exactly, like you see here. Yeah, so I saw some questions here, scanning multiple levels. So it really depends. In our, let me close this. Let me share.
There is an end to that question that's kind of important, and there are ways of doing it, like scanning through a portal, which is an entry point.
Correct.
So say you're scanning on a boat and you got to go through a bulkhead and you got a little tiny portal you got to squeeze through. There's a specific way of doing that.
Correct. Do you want, I mean, go ahead, John, if you want to piggyback off that.
Well, I mean, I've used other simultaneous laser acquisition methods before. Everyone's got kind of their own way of doing it. Sort of the best way we found is you slow down when you get up to the portal. You make sure that the drift and all that goes away. It's focused itself. And then you turn around and you go through the portal backwards. That way it still has a lot of points to anchor to. And then you go through the portal slowly, and then you slowly turn around so that it starts filling up data, so it has more area to anchor to. That would be, the technology is getting a lot better. I'm just where the stuff was 2 years ago, where it is today, I'm pretty certain we can start throwing it to each other and we get the whole building.
Yeah.
But it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, so exactly. So doing that, you obviously always want to slow down. If you're ever in a tight spot, you always want to slow down. You can even hold the scanner there, let it get more points, let it get more dense. Also going through it sideways is another great technique as well, if you're able to. If it's a tight portal or space like we're talking about, sometimes you can only go in head first and then turn around and come back that way. But a lot of times, if you can get it where you can hold it sideways, that'll work as well. As far as scanning the entire or stairwells or things of that nature, if you're in a building where you don't, it won't take a full 45 minutes or you won't be pushing that battery capacity, then yes, you could actually walk the entire building, exterior, interior, and everything on one walk. We tend to still take the typical terrestrial scanning procedures to heart. In this project here, we actually did one scan for the exterior. We would then break down each unit. So we would have the exterior scan of the whole building. And then in this case, this one was 46 Jewett. So this was actually just one building, but we had other buildings that had 4 or 5 units in each, or 2 to 4 units in each. And what we would do is each unit, each apartment would be its own scan. The reason we had to do that is because with the live tenants and everything like that, there was just, we kept running into problems where we tried to do the first house or two all in one scan, but then we would knock on the door and they wouldn't be home or they wouldn't answer, and we're just standing there letting the scanner run. So in this deliverable, what we did is we did an exterior scan, stopped. That was just we labeled that the exterior. Then we would do each unit and then stop. And then we would do, a lot of these units actually had basements as well, and we would do the basement as its own separate scan, and then we'd stitch it together in Register 360 or in Recap, and we would put the house together. But yes, there are other examples where we on projects were able to scan the outside, walk in, do the whole building on one scan. The one problem with the BLK2GO, just like the BLK360, is you can't do hot battery swaps. So if you are low on battery, you have to turn it off to turn it. You have to, once you pull the battery out, it turns the whole machine off. And then once you put when you put the new battery in and turn it on, it's a whole new scan. You can't then jump back into that previous scan and continue from where you were. They're called walks, not scans, but just throwing that out there. They're called walks, but you cannot go to the previous walk and actually then, add on to that. Yes, correct. So the other thing is, just to let you guys know, you aren't using a Field 360. For any of you out there that have already used Leica scanners, you're not using the Field 360 app on an iPad or anything like that. It has its own BLK Live app, BLK2GO Live app that you can download on any Android or Apple product. And it's just a viewer. So while you're scanning, once you start the scan or the walk, I should say, it'll show you the 2D view, and you'll see the points start to come in. You'll see the walls start to form. Then you can also click on the 3D view, and you'll actually see the full 3D. If for whatever reason your phone dies, or you don't have a phone, or don't have the ability to do that, you're A-okay. You don't need the phone or the app to actually run the scanner. You just won't be able to see you won't see it on the actual phone. You'll just have to wait until you get back in front of a computer. Another question that I saw, what was the deliverable for this project? Customer just wanted an RCP file, so just wanted the recap file here. So we were able to actually scan. This was a 2-man job. So even though, well, actually really didn't have to be a 2-man job, but we did it in a 2-man job. And how we did it was, I would go out and scan multiple units throughout the day. I would try to scan 8 houses, if not more, each day. And I would scan the house. And then when I got back to the computer, I would dump off all the data and actually send it to my counterpart. And he would then stitch together very quickly and then push out RCP files for the customer. But the neat thing about this is, since the scanning data isn't as dense and heavy as, say, an RTC scanner, it takes about 5 times the amount of time it took you to scan to import. So say you did a 5-minute scan, 5 times of that is 25 minutes. So it'll roughly take about 25 to 30 minutes to import. So the importing process is very quick as well. So we were able to not only scan multiple units in a day, I was also able to import it on the same time. And then, to be honest with you, I could have done it all myself. It just would have made my days a little bit longer, but it was nice to, when I got back to the hotel, imported it all, and then just sent it over to my counterpart, and then he stitched together. But if I didn't have that counterpart, I could still could have been a 1-man job and done it all in one day. But I was able to, whatever I scanned that day, I was also able to import that same day and actually start exporting out to RCPs, which is awesome. As a lot of you guys probably know, a lot of times when you're doing a terrestrial scan of a big warehouse or a big building, you scan all day, and then you get back to the computer, you import and hit go, and then you're just like, okay, well, I got 6 to 8 hours to burn now. So that's another benefit of the BLK2GO, as well as the swiftness to import and actually get something out.
There is how seamless is CloudWork extraction workflows with SLAM point clouds? I think I should answer that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so just to elaborate, the BLK2GO is not a full substitution for an BLK 360 or an RTC 360 or even any of the P series. The level of detail that basically you have a ceiling cap on the quality of information you can extract from this. This tool is really for the jobs where you need to get in and get out quickly, or there's just a lot of stuff going on that just shorter line of sights and things like that. Now, I understand a hospital boiler room, that is just shorter line of sights. But if you need to extract pipe data and you need to get it within the ANSI tolerances and whatnot, the BLK2GO is not advised. You can maybe get where the bigger stuff are, roughly. It just really depends. If you need to be able to tell the difference between a half an inch conduit and a 3/4 inch conduit, the BLK2GO is just going to not give you that level. If you really need to know what pipe is going in and distinguish between PVC or metal, you would be better off, instead of going into CloudWorks with that, you'd be better off going with a terrestrial laser scanner. I'm just going to say that straight up. I've been doing some testing, bringing SLAM data into 3DR to do the order classifications, just to see if we can remove out furniture and people. And because how the algorithms work in order to extract information, it's calibrated for traditional terrestrial laser scanner. It will probably get to SLAM eventually, but right now they're still trying to optimize it for terrestrial laser scanners. I think those type of workflows for SLAM, it's still a little way out, but it's getting there. Just going into CloudWorks for anything to do with pipes and things like that, I would rather at this point, you could use it for certain stuff, but any high detail thing, I would rather put a traditional terrestrial scanner in there, if that answers your question.
Okay, so I'm seeing another question here. So we've actually done some pretty extensive tests with the BLK2GO as far as the range goes, and regardless of what you see on a spec sheet or whatnot, if you have a vertical structure within 75 feet, it's going to grab it. So that 20 to 25 foot ceiling, yes, you could use the BLK2GO. It will get the ceiling. Now, again, it's what you're looking for. If you're needing any type of MEP, piping, things of that nature, I still would probably recommend if in a bigger warehouse, you're using a little bit more powerful, like even an RTC or even the BLK 360. But yes, if you were to be scanning, I mean, perfect example, this house, I mean, it's picking up this fence, it's even getting this house over here. So as long as it's got a vertical structure or something, whether it's over you or next to you within 75 feet, it will pick it up. But again, it's whatever you're looking for from that scan. A lot of times when you're doing warehouses, you're needing to get up and get all that piping and everything like that. So we tend to use a more powerful scanner like an RTC 360, but again, it's whatever you're looking for there. But yes, within 75 feet, it should pick it up just fine. Ratio between time collected to exporting an RCP. So it's actually very similar. So like I said, say I scan for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And if I make a scan for 10 minutes, and then it takes about 50 minutes to an hour to import If I wasn't to clean up anything, if I just imported, stitched together, if I did multiple scans in this case, let's just for this scenario said I just did one scan. So scanned, imported, scanned for 10 minutes, exported or imported for an hour. The export's usually about the same. So if I export it out to an RCP, it's going to be roughly about the same 50 minutes, sometimes a little bit quicker. If you decimate the point cloud and stuff like that, you can get a, you know, have some fun on the back end, subsample like Jean was talking about earlier. But yes, it's usually from import to export is kind of 1-to-1, I guess there.
All right. There was another question. Can if we held the BLK, it's just going back into that CloudWorks question. If we could keep the scanner closer to the piping, the answer would be, yeah, you would have to do smaller walks and probably do multiple of them, but you would be able to get a significant amount of accuracy that way. I suppose that's one way of doing it. Josh, did you use the BLK to go with that factory?
No, most of the factory work we have done is with like an RTC or a BLK 360. We have done some MEP work, mechanical room work with the To Go. It's just kind of like what you were just saying, Jean. We just did the mechanical room as its own scan. We walked extremely slow, if not stopped in a lot of areas. We were just standing there and kind of very slowly going around the pipes and everything like that. And yes, it is usable data. But again, just like you said, it would be more or less, you would want to kind of make that its own separate scan.
All right. How familiar are you with the Pegasus?
I am not. I know what it is. I'm just not extremely familiar with it. I have heard that there's a lot of engineering going around out there as far as making, you know, more attachments for the BLK to go to, you know, extend it or hold it to different ways. But as far as the Pegasus backpack, I'm not too informed with it.
Well, I mean, the question starts off apples and apples. Okay, the first thing, let's get the pink elephant and show pony it out of the room here. Apples and apples. The price point between a BLK to go and a Pegasus, that's, I mean, you're buying basically an apple. The one you're buying an apple, and the other you're buying a prime rib roast, price-wise. You know, the Pegasus is everything the BLK to go is, but on steroids. It has bigger cameras. It's got geolocating capabilities built into it. It's stronger processor, but it is a massive backpack. It was originally designed to fit on the roof of a car, and they've compacted that enough to put into a backpack. So it originally was even bigger. We've done testing with the technology. We don't have the Pegasus on our in our tool bag yet. We are doing testing with the technology right now. The results that we have seen are very, very impressive, and don't want to get into too deeply with what we're doing at the moment because it's still up in there whether we're going to onboard it or not. But it can work quicker, and the quality is a lot better. It also has stuff like it can remove ghost points and whatnot. So apples to apples, it's that would be your Cadillac, as your BLK to go would be that cool little Honda Civic with a cool souped up engine in it, but it's just not at the same price point. And you're probably not going to put a Pegasus in between piping.
Good point. Alrighty. Well, at this point, I'm just kind of showing you a bunch of different kind of different housing units and whatnot that we scanned and everything like that. So some of these you're going to see kind of opens, like vacant areas and things of that nature. We just couldn't get into those units and things of that. So things of that nature. So it's not like it didn't get it. We weren't able to get on the roof or anything like that. We actually did some drone data to help collect that. But and just to let you guys know, from Leica, they're coming out with the BLK to Fly, which is essentially the BLK to Go with wings. So that's something to kind of keep your
and onboard PPK. Big deal. And if somebody nicks it, you'd be able to, if anyone turns it on, you'd be able to tell exactly where it is.
So there you go, BLK to Go with wings. So it's pretty awesome. We actually had one of these. You're
not showing your Google yet.
Oh, I figured as much. I'm the only one getting excited over here. So yes, here's the BLK with wing, BLK to Go with wings. So we got to play with this from Leica. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of neat. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's definitely going to be a game changer as far as, I mean, I wish I would have had this for this most recent job up in Utica, so it would have made my life a lot easier. But so yeah, and then also Leica's come out with the BLK to, is it the BLK to Arc? But it will go on top of the Boston Dynamics Spot.
It's also the only unit that takes power from Spot. Every other unit that connects to and it works in tandem with Spot. So Spot's very aware of it. All the other units have to have their own separate power supply, and they are technically controlled separately. As the Arc, it's one unit.
Correct. And to answer that question, whether you get the Arc or the BLK to Fly, they're actually separate from your BLK to Go handheld. So no, unfortunately, you can't just snap this into, something with wings or anything like that. It would be its own separate unit. The neat thing is on the BLK to Fly is you can actually finally do a hot battery swap. And I'm hoping that software maybe will come to the BLK to Go, because that would be awesome. But yes, right now, if you were to take that battery out, you have 10 seconds to put the next battery in and continue on with that same project. So just to keep your eyes open. We're definitely going to be doing some neat stuff with this in the future, hopefully having some more webinars and blogs and write-ups and all kinds of good stuff. And again, remember, go to our website, follow us on LinkedIn. Again, I feel like that influencer where I'm telling everybody to follow me here and like and subscribe and everything like that. But yeah, like I said, LinkedIn, our website, our YouTube channel, we're going to have a lot of great information, not only on the rest of the Leica lineup as far as the RTC, BLK360, the To Go, but we're also hopefully going to be getting some good information on the Fly and everything like that. So.
Just to answer a question, yes, that is the BLK to Go unit, but it cannot be used as a BLK to Go. It's fused and optimized to be part of the drone. It can only do the drone stuff, but it's in essence a BLK to Fly. Yes, it's a BLK as a drone, but it can't be swapped as the handheld. So
correct, yeah. Well, guys, I'll probably end it here. I do greatly appreciate your time joining us today. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Sean, if you don't mind, if you could throw like maybe your email and my email in the chat for everybody. But yeah, for sure, reach out if you want more information. We can send you some stuff. If you want to set up a demo, let us know. Like I said, I can't piggyback enough off of earlier. I mean, we're a one-stop shop when it comes to reality capture. So if you guys are just getting into it, if you've already been into it for years, if you're looking to kind of go a different route or expand your reality capture division, by all means, let us know. We'll definitely be a partner. We can be a leader and help help you set something up. We can train you, we can teach you, we can hold your hand, or we can and work hand in hand with you. Anything from you doing the work and sending us the point clouds and having us process and model, to us scanning and doing it, you know, anything and everything reality capture, let us know. Please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know, and we'd happy to help. We happy to work with you guys, and you know, all that good stuff. So again, thank you for your time, guys.
All right, everyone. Have a good morning.